Democracy is a type of government in which people choose a governor. For example, Mexico is a democratic country, and here we're gonna see a live example.
No, the red team is better than the pink one.
No. The red is the color of the blood.
But the red has better proposals. That's why you don't know. Democracy also have freedom of speech. This means that people have the liberty to express their ideas about government or another team, and they can make a debate about that without any problems. People.
Capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership to produce goods and benefits. It also includes a free market, and it's based on the supply and demand in the market.
So, Mexico is also a capitalist country because it has a free market and its people have the right to express themselves and to have much more than they deserve. And the difference between capitalist and socialist is that socialist, they deliver resources in the same amount, and sometimes this is good because there's no poverty, but sometimes it's bad because they do this violently. This is what happens in a socialist country. Hey, I'll buy a cookie from you, $5.
But that's very
Fall of the Byzantine Empire. A cause of the Byzantine Empire was that the Ottomans were making pressure to its empire, and the consequence of this event was how it says the fall of the Byzantine Empire. The main character of this event was Mehmed II. It was the man that had control of the Ottomans when they moved to the end of the Byzantine Empire. Some important events during this fall were that on April 6 of 1453, as the Ottomans bombarded Constantinople with massive cannons hurling stone balls, and on May 29 of the same year, the walls were breached and Ottoman soldiers poured in. The Byzantine emperor died in the final battle, and the atrocious 3-day sack of the city began. This event occurred in Constantinople that Mehmed II changed its name to the city of Istanbul. This event made a great impact in the democracy and capitalism because they changed of being free the Byzantine Empire, they changed to be governed by the Ottoman Empire.
Independence of Venezuela. Some internal causes of the independence of Venezuela were the fight of the Blancos Criollos versus the Peninsulares. Another one was the huge amount of taxes, and another one were the Enlightenment ideas. The main consequence of the Venezuela was how its name says, independence of Venezuela. And some important characters of this event were Simón Bolívar. He found the Great Colombia that consists in a short-lived republic that it was conformed by Colombia, Panama, Venezuela, and Ecuador. Another one was Francisco de Miranda, that he was the leader of the patriotic side during the independence of Venezuela. And another character was José Antonio de Páez. He was the general and boss of the independence of Venezuela, and he was accused of betraying Simón Bolívar by leading in 1826 a movement called La Cosiata, searching to separate Venezuela from the Great Colombia. Some important events during this process were in 1811, the national flag of Venezuela is introduced. The meaning of the colors of this flag are: the yellow means the richness and the fertile lands. The blue one means the Caribbean Sea, and the red one means the bloodshed in the fights for the independence. In 1821, the Great Colombia is created and organized with the following countries as integrants: Colombia, Panama, Venezuela, and Ecuador again. And in 1830, finally Venezuela is independent from Spain. All these events were in Venezuela, and they made an effect in the type of government, because in this event the democracy had its first apparition in this country.
The Opium War. The Opium War were two armed conflicts between the Western forces and the Qing dynasty. They were two wars, one known as the First Opium War and the other the Second Opium War, also known as the Anglo-French War. The First Opium War, here it says, that was fought between Britain and China and lasted during the 1839 to 1842. The causes were the introduction of the opium from India to China and commercialized by the Britain Company. Also, one of the main causes was that the opium addiction in the 80s was an epidemic for the Chinese. The Britain took advantage of the high demand of opium in China and began an illegal exportation of opium to the country. This trade was viewed like from China like disrespectful and against the Chinese law. So the consequences were that the Britain won the First Opium War due to a superior Navy army. This resulted in a treaty that opened 5 new ports in China for trade with the West. These ports included Canton, Shanghai, and other countries. The trade taxes were limited to 5%, and Chinese had to accept the concept of extraterritoriality. Chinese were forced to pay British $9 million for all the opium destroyed during the wars. Free trade was making its way into China.
Now we get a glimpse of the Civil War of America.
It was a war that lasted from 1861 to 1865. It all started in the elections of 1860, when Abraham Lincoln stated that if he won, he will stop slavery. But the people from South say that if Lincoln won, they will leave the country, and indeed, they formed their own nations and the Confederate States of America and created their own laws. The war began in April of 1861, when the Confederate Army took over the Fort Sumter in Charleston, South California. As a consequence, President Lincoln had to declare the war. The war ended on April 9 of 1865.
So, the Industrial Revolution began in the year 1845. It was the main cause was that the enterprises or industries wanted to change human resources for machine, because the machines were more effective and didn't got tired, didn't needed rest time, didn't needed payment, and they improved the production of the products. It was faster, more economic, more efficient, and more trustable, because machines don't steal money from you, they don't uprise against you like workers could do. England was the main objective of this revolution, because it had the capital to impulse manufacturing at the great scale. It was also it had also the most biggest fleet in the world, and it controlled every trade route by sea, by land, by everything. It was the biggest empire at the time. So one of the main characters of this was Frederick Engels, because he was the one who diffused the term of Industrial Revolution. He was a founder of the scientific socialism, and basically he started it all up. He started to diffuse the term, and thanks to him, there is the Industrial Revolution.
The Boer War lasted from 1899 to 1902. In 1886, coal was discovered in the Transvaal. This new wealth potentially made the Transvaal very powerful. The British became concerned that the Boers would take over all of South Africa. In 1889, the Second Boer War began. However, the Boers once again proved to be tough liars. Beginning in 1901, the British began a strategy of searching out and destroying out these guerrilla units that were commanded by the Boers. The British finally defeated the Boers. Both the Orange Free State and the Transvaal became part of the British Empire. The Peace Treaty of Bernarding was signed in 1902. This treaty recognized the British military administration over Transvaal and the Orange Free State and authorized a general amnesty for Boer forces. Fierce guerrilla resistance by the Boers angered the British. The British responded by burning crops and forcing about 120,000 Boer women and children into detention camps, where lack of food caused some 20,000 deaths. Some important characters were William Gladstone, Paul Kruger, Louis Botha, and Jan Smuts.